Okay, looks like I've made it. All right. Episode two of MrSoundOff here. And obviously still going through some of the kinks, some working out some of the bugs here so far, learning some of the things still about my different equipment that I have, trying out some different equipment that I've been using or been getting recently and trying to set up, trying to get ready to uh, used properly and not have these kind of issues. And some of these things also is getting used to kind of doing some of the live streaming itself on the channel. So thank you guys for coming out. This is episode two. All right. Hope you guys enjoy the first one. All right. The pilot, the test episode. I guess you can call this the pilot two or test episode two or just episode two. I don't know if I'll end up switching it from pilot episodes to just regular episodes or just keep going at that point. I think probably just keep going. But yeah, thank you guys for coming out for the second one. Again, hope you guys enjoyed the first one. Thank you guys for for the likes, for the subscribes, the comments, the feedback that I've gotten. Really do appreciate that. Hope you guys can keep coming back, keep letting other people know about the videos as they're coming out. Again, fan interaction is going to be big for the channel, big for myself. It's going to be, I hope, a lot of fun, not just for myself, but for all of you guys out there. As we fill up the chats more, you guys can interact with each other more. You guys can definitely, I hope to interact with every single one of you, obviously as much as I can, and we'll keep this thing going, right? And we'll have some fun along the way. I know I'm going to. So it's going to be a fun thing for myself, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it too. Um, Last week we touched on some of the free agency things that are going on in the NFL. Now, last week when I brought this up, the season had not even started yet. Sorry, the actual NFL free agent season, I should say, hadn't even started yet, right? So it was really kind of like these are some of the things that I see that could be possibly coming down the pipeline here this next week. And technically, where we're at today, all right, I don't know if you guys have been seeing what's going on today, but it's pretty cool because actually the first day of the new NFL season officially is not until tomorrow. That's Wednesday, the 13th, right? So that means that all the moves that have actually been made the last 2 days has been basically 2 days since free agency started, and what a 2 days we've had. Those 2 days, all those signings that you've been seeing is actually not official quite yet. Right? I don't really say that. Don't really think that anything's going to stand in the way of most of the things that you've seen or heard as far as these moves that are being made. But I'm just saying that most of the moves that you've seen, being made so far are coming out from either like you know insiders, reporters, things like that. People that are on the inside, Adam Schefter's, those kind of people, right? Those kind of reporters for ESPN's and Fox Sports, those kind of things there that are in with some of these teams, or maybe some of the actual local team reporters that know exactly what's going on, or maybe it's even coming out from agents or players themselves that are saying some of these things, but they're not actually coming out from the teams themselves, right? The official first date that these players can actually be signed is tomorrow. So, you know, I think tomorrow is going to be a pretty busy day where you're actually going to see the official signings actually happening, and then new signings, right? So players that haven't been signed, players that you haven't seen anything about yet in these first 2 days. There's, of course, is going to be essentially the third day of free agency and the first day of the official free agency and the first day of the official new NFL league season, right? Which is also why, since tomorrow is the first day of the NFL, the first official day of the next NFL season, all the teams had to essentially trade or release players by today in order to have them off their books so they wouldn't be there on their salary cap for next season starting tomorrow, right? So you saw a lot more pieces falling today with players getting released just today. And I'm trying to think of if there was any players that were released and supposed to be signed. Oh, I mean, I guess what's crazy is, yeah. So Aaron Jones on the Green Bay Packers, as an example, was released yesterday, right, and signed today. Okay. And again, the official thing will be tomorrow as far as when he's being signed. But it's just crazy as far as there has been an example of a player who was released and signed all within basically a 24-hour period, right in there. So more of the stuff is going to be happening tomorrow. We're going to be seeing some more of these players that were released today that are available, and now more teams are going to be going in on these players tomorrow. But I want to start off with the main thing about this free agency is the winners for today, right? The winners from free agency, and this is a couple different things. This is going over some players as well as some teams, right? I think obviously anytime somebody gets $180 million for well for anything, I don't care if it's for 100 years of your life. If you're making $180 million, that's fantastic. But making $180 million for playing the sport that you love for 4 years. That's pretty darn fantastic. And Kirk Cousins just did that today, right? So Kirk Cousins, new contract, 4 years, $180 million to join the Atlanta Falcons, right? And that makes Kirk Cousins and really the Atlanta Falcons, I think they're the biggest winners of the day. Um, Although I don't think Kirk Cousins is your Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers and some of these players that have been out there for years, like the top tier players, the Tom Brady's, Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, uh, I maybe Josh Allen being in there as well. So as far as these top tier kind of players, those kind of things there, he's right below that. Um, and so the Falcons just got essentially a quarterback that's maybe 8th to 15th best quarterback in the NFL. Uh, Going into next season, yeah, he's a little bit older. He's 36 now, and he is coming off the injury. So they're risking a lot. But what did they really have to lose? I mean, what quarterback did they have on that team? Right, that roster is actually a pretty loaded roster with no real help, no insight coming for the quarterback position unless they actually went out and signed somebody, right? They did a pretty good job last season. I think they missed out on the playoffs by a game, if I remember right. Um, from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a game, maybe 2 games. They were in it till pretty close to the end there, and so they're drafting a ways down. They're not going to get one of those top tier quarterbacks. Even if they did get one of those top tier rookie quarterbacks, it would be. I mean, we're talking about like where they would be at. They'd probably get like the fourth or fifth best rookie quarterback, and then to think you're gonna plug and play him week one and have him take over your team and win a whole bunch of games, um, you know, or he comes in week 4 or week 8 or something like that. He turns the season around and takes you to the playoffs. That's not super realistic, right? So getting Kirk Cousins and all of a sudden for 4 years, great pickup for the Atlanta Falcons. There's also a lot of talk as far as the scheme that he's coming into is underneath the offensive coordinator, basically coming from the Sean McVay tree, and the Minnesota Vikings head coach came from that same tree. So essentially, he comes from the same scheme that he's already been under for the last couple of years from the Vikings, right over to the Atlanta Falcons, and they now have three uh, you know, top skilled offensive skill position players, along with I believe it's 4 different first round picks on the offensive line around there. So, they've never really gotten a lot of credit for the offensive line, but they've been pretty young, right? But they have a lot of you know possibilities, I guess, a lot of hope for what their offensive line could be. And then those 3 skill position players, as far as wide receiver, tight end, and running back, that can compete with anybody, any team, as far as those 3 positions goes, is pretty good for Kirk Cousins. And that defense has been coming along as well. Also a little bit young. I think that's where they'll maybe struggle a little bit is on that defensive side. We'll have to see exactly how that offensive line does hold up, and of course, Kurt coming back from the injury, how he'll hold up. But I think that's the biggest winner of the day is Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons. Besides that, I mean, I haven't really exactly ranked these. These are just kind of you know, the big winners that I've seen would be the Steelers, right? I touched on this last week in the podcast that Russell Wilson. I was saying I was saying how crazy of a notion could it be? How great of a move would it be for the Bears to actually go out and sign Russell Wilson for $1.2 million is what his going rate was because he was getting paid by the Denver Broncos. But that was a pie in the sky. That was a pretty out there thought. The overwhelming consensus is everyone thought that he was going to go to the Steelers, and he ended up going to the Steelers. So the Steelers needed a quarterback as well. Steelers were almost in the same position as the Atlanta Falcons, and they just picked up Russell Wilson, right? Who had a better season last year than he did 2 years ago. But I really don't think that Russell Wilson is that far off from being a high caliber, really good quarterback. I don't think people enough these quarterbacks or enough these players credit as well for playing through pain. And Russell Wilson, a lot of people forget that he broke his finger on his throwing hand his last season on the Seattle Seahawks. So he was basically playing through that. It's kind of like Aaron Rodgers also had that as well. And you saw both those quarterbacks have down years. So the Seattle Seahawks see that, and they're like, "Okay, I guess you're getting up there in age," which is, I think, at that time, Russell was like 31, 32 that last year in Seattle, and said, "Okay, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get rid of you." I mean, he the year before that he was in the running for NFL MVP, right? So in the running for NFL MVP, then he breaks his finger, has an off year. Then he has a pretty decent year, and then he goes to the Denver Broncos. Massive situation there. Has a little bit better of a year, even with Sean Payton, who basically couldn't stand him and was trying to get rid of him from the moment he was there. I think that the Steelers for $1.2 million, just they maybe got the steal of the NFL, right? I mean, do you think that for the numbers, when you think that Kirk Cousins and some of these guys, let's see, so Kirk Cousins 180 over 4, so I know it's backloaded and those kind of things there, but essentially $45 million a year, right? Um, do you think that Kirk Cousins is going to put out a 45 time 44 times better season than Russell Wilson is going to? So, I mean, do you think Russell Wilson is going to throw, uh, you know, one touchdown and Kirk Cousins is going to throw 35 to, we'll say 35 touchdowns, right? So, is Kirk Cousins worth one and a half, two times more than what Russell Wilson was? Well, again, Russell Wilson just went for 1.2. No quarterback is going for $5 million. I mean, unless you're Sam Darnold going to the Minnesota Vikings for 10, still not five, but we'll have to see exactly how that pans out for the Vikings itself there. But the Pittsburgh Steelers getting Russell Wilson, and then the second part of that is them also getting Patrick McQueen, which is a guy that I put on my mock draft for my Green Bay Packers that I wanted them to select years ago in that NFL draft. And so I've always had an eye out for Patrick McQueen and seeing his career, just blossom into being a great linebacker. And I was super hopeful again that the Packers might be able to actually pick him up now as a free agent, especially with releasing Devondre Campbell. I thought it'd be perfect, right? And what was it? Patrick Queen, and then the year after that, then the Packers got Quay Walker, and I thought those two together would just dominate in the middle of the field there for the Packers for years to come here. So that was unfortunate that the Packers were not able to get him, but great for the Steelers. Patrick Queen goes to the Steelers. I mean, an organization that is known for the defense that is just cranks it out year after year. And so the Steelers are going to be a whole lot better next year. The Steelers are going to be a whole lot better next year. So watch out for them. Another good team here making good moves today. The Las Vegas Raiders. That's right, Raider Nation. You guys got Christian Wilkins. You guys got essentially the best interior pass rusher in NFL with Christian Wilkins. You had to pay some money for him, 4 years, 110, but that's what those guys go for because not a whole lot of them, right? And so pairing him up with Max Crosby is going to be big for you guys. And anytime you can get that interior pressure in your face as quickly as possible on a quarterback, and you got some quarterbacks in your division with Mahomes and Herbert, you guys need it. The one thing I would say is it doesn't look like you guys are maybe going that far in on offense. So, this flashy Raiders team that's organization, I should say, that I always feel like has the high flying speedster wide receiver, the bruising running back and a quarterback with all kinds of arm to him. It's feeling a little bit different right now, right? That being said, they did also pick up Gardner Minshew. So I'm actually a fan of Gardner Minshew. I think that he's an underrated player. And talk about the money on that. 2 years for $25 million for Gardner Minshew. So where I was talking about, what kind of quarterbacks can you get for $5 or $10 million? I mean, so you break that down, essentially 12 and a half, 12 and a half each year for Gardner Minshew. Even if you end up drafting another quarterback or bringing in another quarterback, and Gardner Minshew ends up being your backup quarterback, there's a lot of backup quarterbacks that are going for this kind of range, right? In this 8 to $15 million range as far as a backup quarterback goes. So if Gardner Minshew ends up being that this year, if you do draft somebody, or ends up falling to that like next year, that's a great pickup. And if Gardner Minshew plays anywhere near what he does when he's had his opportunities, and he plays at his best, granted he does have to play at his best to get there, but if he plays at his best for that, and you paid him 12 and a half, and he gets you 25 to 30 touchdowns, and let's say he throws for 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, right? And another like 2 rushing. I think you as the Raiders have to be happy about that, have to be feeling good about that. And you also have to be thinking, well, this is why we spent our money on defense, right? We didn't really fully go out and spend a ton of money on offense. We kind of expect this. We spent our money on defense instead. So good days for the Oakland Raiders, or sorry, it'll always be the Oakland Raiders to me. But the Las Vegas Raiders. For my Green Bay Packers, also a great day here. Great. I mean, it was really all on the first day. Um, but getting Josh Jacobs and Xavier McGinney. So they got essentially, well, I would say one of the top three, if not the first or second best running back out there. And if you think about where Josh Jacobs could be at in 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road, Josh Jacobs, out of those running backs, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, some of those guys that were available, DeAndre Swift, those kind of things, he could absolutely stand above the rest as being the best running back that was available out there, right? For this free agency period. They did have to spend more. He did get more than the rest of these guys out there. But again, he's also 26, so he's younger than most of these other guys. And he comes off a down year, obviously, with the Raiders, but they were going through their stuff there in Las Vegas, didn't really have any offense at all to speak of. The year before that, he was essentially the best running back in all football, right? So hopefully the Packers picked up the best running back in football for about $12 million a year at 26, right? The Packers would have been my number one team, essentially, the team that I felt like probably had the best free agency day if they did not have to give up, unfortunately, Aaron Jones, right? So that was a huge move. I mean, what a devastating day for Packers fans, Packer Nation, having to release Aaron Jones, and then a day later, then he goes to the Minnesota Vikings, just makes it that much worse. There was, I joked with a buddy of mine. There was about a 5 minute window there where they signed Josh Jacobs, and Packer Nation, started talking like, "Hey, look at this two-headed monster that we have. What if it's Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones?" Right? And I said last week, I brought up Aaron Jones, and I said the Packers are probably going to try to, renegotiate that deal. All right, work on that deal. And reports are coming out that they had been trying to do that for weeks or for months with Aaron Jones, and it finally broke down about a week or two ago. And it looks like that's essentially why, when they weren't coming close to a deal between the Packers and Aaron Jones, that they decided, like, okay, we're going to go ahead and go out there and get a running back, and we're going to have to release Aaron Jones. So again, if they were able to keep both of them, that would have been just tremendous for the Packers. But still, picking up Josh Jacobs, that's 3 years younger than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has had injury issues really every year for the last few years now. I mean, last year, I know he had a fantastic end of the season. I think it was 5 games in a row running for over 100 yards each game. But I mean, he missed, how many games, or was limited at least in some of those games. I would say 8 to 12 of the games of the season. He either missed or was limited or came out during the game itself, right? So, um, I think that played a big part. That's why I was saying that I thought that the Packers were going to ask him to take a pay cut, essentially, on that salary itself, and I guess why it didn't end up happening, right? But besides picking up Josh Jacobs for the Packers, they also got the best safety out there, Xavier McGinney. Giants messed up on this one, letting this guy go. 24 years old. I think he's going to be 25 when the next NFL season starts up. Just came off of a Pro Bowl year. Uh, all Pro Bowl year for the Giants. Has been rated the number one safety by PFF in the NFL at the safety position since he came into the league. Right, so you're picking up a guy maybe not even in his prime yet, right? For a decent contract for 4 years, and our biggest need that we had as the Green Bay Packers being at safety, you just filled it with the best guy, and you didn't have to fully extend. You didn't have to totally overpay for him. There's still safeties that are making more money than Xavier McGinney, and you just got him for 4 years for this. So again, where you'd end up seeing this contract being ranked in 3 or 4 years, I mean, this is a home run for the Green Bay Packers. So excellent job for us on that side there. Some other winners, I thought the Eagles made a lot of moves. They got a lot of guys as well there, and also the Vikings. Without spending too much more time here on this subject itself, the Vikings, besides losing out on Kirk Cousins, they got some good play. They got a whole bunch of players on their defensive side of the ball, and then they were able to pick up Aaron Jones. Right? They also got Sam Darnold as well, and you got him. I think it was $10 million a year for Sam Darnold. So, uh, we'll have to see exactly again how he plays out. But Sam Darnold is going to have some weapons. That's for sure. He's going to have he's going to have T.J. Hodgkinson, a tight end. He's going to have Addison and um, Justin Jefferson, obviously. Justin Jefferson and wide receiver. And now they throw Aaron Jones out there. If Aaron Jones again is actually healthy for you guys, you that's a squad right there to go behind. So Vikings also with a good haul in that first day or two of free agency. So that there goes over my first segment of the day here. And then again, the first day of or first 2 days, I should say, of the NFL free agency. It's been crazy. It's been hectic. Can't wait to see where it goes from here. All right, guys. And with that in mind, now we go to today in history. Right, today in history. Let me just kind of get this ready here. There was a lot that actually happened today. Some days I actually look at things and like, okay, got it. There was one thing, or a multitude of things, but maybe they weren't as large as some other dates out there, some other important events that happen in time. And I wouldn't say any one of these maybe is you know gigantic, earth shaking, or something like that. It wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't Pink Floyd playing at the wall when it got torn down or something like that. There, but still, pretty good day. So I'm going to go ahead and list off a few different things. And there was even more of this if you go and look this up here today for this. And today, because I was talking a lot about sports, I want to go a little bit more on the music side for today in history. So today in history, in 1983, U2 scored the first UK number one album with War. Right. So. Uh, the iconic album of U2 War came out today and uh, went to number one, and it ended up spending a total of 147 weeks on the chart. Obviously, with those singles like New Year's Day and Two Hearts Beat as One, a masterpiece of an album. What a great statement from U2 as they really just kind of getting started. I mean, if you know some of their stuff from before that, I love October as well. They had Boy as well as their first full length album. October, I think, is a fantastic album that gets overlooked a lot of times. But U2 War is really the one that made that statement out to the world and made them, started them off on who they are today. Right. So huge day for U2 with that guy there. Also in 2006, David Gilmour. Speaking of Pink Floyd in the wall, David Gilmour from Pink Floyd, former guitarist and lead singer from Pink Floyd, uh, went number one on the UK album chart with his third solo album, On an Island, and fantastic album from David Gilmour. And what was also pretty cool too to see was that a couple years after this, in 2009, UK radio station actually did a poll of greatest solo albums written by a former band member, and Dave Gilmour was number one. Right. Interesting topic. You can think about maybe some other bands that have happened since then. I'm thinking of like Oasis have both brothers have done solo stuff since then. I don't know if I mean Blur, David Albarn has really done other stuff in other bands, so it's not really solo work. But Tom York has done some solo work as well. Um, I don't think about all those. But as far as back then, David Gilmour would be it, and I would tend to agree with that. So that was also today. And then keep it going. I got two more. 2010, Metallica playing in Colombia. There were over 130 people were arrested, with 8 people being hospitalized for a show in Colombia, where over 1,500 police and 4 tanks were brought to manage crowds as property was vandalized and destroyed. As thousands of ticketless fans rioted during Metallica's first Colombian concert in 11 years. Uh, wait, way, way to go, Metallica! I don't know. I always think that stuff's pretty cool as far as you have if that much of a following, you have that much people behind you that want to see you. They'll go to extremes. I mean, I'm never consenting to violence or anything like that there, but just there's that many people that wanted to see you that didn't have tickets that couldn't see you that then they had to bring in tanks to stop there being a bigger issue. That's a pretty crazy day in history right there. And most recently, one of my favorite bands also out there, Stereophonics, scored their eighth UK number one with their 25th anniversary album Ucha. The achievement made them one of the most successful chart acts of all time, tying with Taylor Swift, Oasis, Kylie Minogue, and REM, um, who have also had 8 chart toppers. The Beatles had the most with 15 Mile Away, followed by Elvis and Robbie Williams. I don't know how Robbie Williams got on this here, but Elvis Presley and Robbie Williams with 13. So congratulations to Stereophonics. If you've not checked out Stereophonics, you definitely should. They are a fantastic band. Um, Definitely one of the overlooked, I, don't know, I guess you call Britpop bands. This British invasion, British wave 2.0 that happened in the 90s. They were kind of one of the forgotten ones or the later ones that came by. Didn't maybe have some of the gigantic hits at the beginning, and then Napster comes in, and the British wave is kind of done with by the time I feel like they were really cranking out a lot of their good stuff with Stereophonics. So a great band that's been good for a long time. So um, happy to see that there for them. And good job by them. Thank you guys for again listening to the show. If you have not clicked on the like or subscribe button, please do. Also hit the notification bell, right? So that way you can get notified when I actually do go live with these streams, and get the word out. Let people know about this here, so they can come check out the shows here, and do the interaction as well here. Now we go into our sponsor, and our sponsor for today is a fantastic one that hopefully we can all get behind, and that would be Kung Fu Panda 4. Kung Fu Panda 4. We just went and saw this as a family the other day. Kung Fu Panda 4 uh, way exceeded my expectations for this movie. I don't know if there just wasn't the promotions, the advertising for it as maybe some of the other movies, or if it was because it was the fourth movie, or because there's been some distance in time between the fourth and the third ones, or the other three. I from being a huge Kung Fu Panda fan myself from before I even had kids, uh, I was super happy with this movie. Love seeing it. The action was still there, like you used to seeing. The storyline was amazing. The jokes are still there. I love all those things. I don't want to get into spoilers, so I won't go into like details really about the movie. But great movie. Take your family out to go see it. If you don't have a family, just go out and watch it yourself. It's a great movie. You won't be disappointed. Thank you, Kung Fu Panda, for sponsoring the video, as always. And don't forget, Kung Fu Panda fans, right? Because I'm kidding, of course. Brand new channel, and we do not have Kung Fu Panda 4 as a sponsor yet, unfortunately. But I'm still waiting for Ritz, dog. All right, Ritz, hit me up, dog. You need to hit this up, right? What do I got to do? I got to bring the kids out. I got to bring the kids over here. Put them here on camera. You see kids crying faces on camera, and all of a sudden, then you send me some Ritz. Roasted vegetable. Also, remember that, right? DM me. I send you the address, and Ritz coming, right? Then all of a sudden, Ritz really is sponsor on the show. So thank you to Kung Fu Panda 4 and to Ritz as always. All right. Um, that, that's not for my sponsorship little spiel there. But again, really, if you do have any questions or business or uh, sports team, musical artist. Love to try to get out the words, the word about you guys out there as much as I can, as to the limited amount of viewers that I have, the followers that I have so far. So hit me up and we can see if we can get you on the air here, get you mentioned, get your products on the air, something like that there. All right. Thank you for that. Thank you to our sponsors. And now we go into the song of the day. I don't know if you guys saw this on some of the socials that we have for Mr. Soundoff, but I did put out a little clip here from this song, and it is the Foo Fighters, "The Glass," which comes off of their newest album. But here we are. If you guys have not heard this song, if you guys have not heard this album, give it a spin. Let's see. I don't know. There it is, right there. There's the. Woo, wow. There's the album for the Foo Fighters, but here we are. Their newest album, that almost all white vinyl there behind me. Great album, and this song here, "The Glass," really grew on me over time. It is definitely like one of those songs where the first couple times you listen through an album, that's a good song. I really like that song. And it was like probably my, I don't know, fourth, fifth, sixth best song or something like that. I felt like off the album. I think it was really when I saw Foo Fighters on SNL with her play this song live that I was like, that's a fantastic song. That song's way better actually than what I even thought it was. So then you go back through and listen to the song and really been digging it lately. It's become my favorite song off that album. You really feel the emotion coming from Dave off this album. If you're a big Foo Fighters fan as well, this newest album would really, I would say, be the closest thing to their first album, which Dave, you know, wrote and played every instrument on that first Foo Fighters album. Well, unfortunately, of course, Taylor Hawkins passed away, and Dave ended up stepping in and singing and playing guitar still, but he also played the drums for this whole album as well, like he did. on that first album. And this song here is really a tribute to his best friend and longtime bandmate Taylor Hawkins. So um, the music is great. The lyrics are fantastic. Give it a shot, guys. Give it a spin there, and give that whole album a chance there. Right. So, anyways, my that's for my song of the day, and we're gonna go from the song of the day into the now the second part of the first topic that we went through, which would be the losers so far of free agency. All right. Uh, Losers of free agency, we have a few of them. All right, so far, and again, some of this is just based off this first 2 days, right? Some of these guys have had to get released, and some there's been some trades and those kind of things. And some of these are kind of speculations on seeing where exactly this will go. Right? I'll give you an example here. My first one, um, the biggest loser I feel like of the day was Justin Fields and the Bears. Right? Which they did make some moves. They also did pick up, who was they actually picked up, they picked up, Jonathan Owens, which I wanted the Packers to re-sign. So that was a good pickup for the Chicago Bears, getting the safety Jonathan Owens, uh, there. But essentially, in the last couple days, you had Russell Wilson, go to one of the possible trade targets for the Chicago Bears, right? And go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you had Kirk Cousins sign with the Atlanta Falcons, which is Justin Fields' hometown. So that was essentially where Justin Fields was trying to get to the most. Right. A lot of people thought Justin Fields, again, with that offensive line and those chess pieces they have on the offensive skill positions, would have been a really good duo as well there. So Justin Fields all of a sudden looking around, some people even thought Tampa Bay possibly as another option, but Baker Mayfield gets re-signed by the Buccaneers. A whole bunch of, I mean, the Raiders also went and again, the Raiders, like I talked about earlier, picked up Gardner Minshew. Could they still go for Justin Fields? Sure, they could. The Browns also got a backup. The Patriots got Jacoby Brissett. The Jaguars even got another backup. Um, and Mac Jones making a trade there. So, anyways, a lot of the different places that you would think that Justin Fields could have either gone to, or those teams might be willing to trade for Justin Fields or something like that, kind of got filled up, right? And so for Justin Fields, who I feel like has been a little bit kind of playing his card to get out of Chicago, all of a sudden now might be stuck there, or might end up getting traded to the situation that he doesn't maybe necessarily want to go to. Or could he go to some place for a much lower amount than what it was going to be, maybe had a trade been made, previously, right? And this is why I say the Chicago Bears are also the other big losers with this, right? Because if they were able to pull off the trigger sooner, they might have been able to beat to the punch all these different signs that went through, and been able to leverage these different teams against each other for higher draft picks, higher compensation for Justin Fields. That's essentially what the Bears are going for, right? Bears, it looks like, are all in on Caleb Williams, going with that number one pick. And so you try to trade away Justin Fields and get as much compensation as you can possibly get for him, sending him off the other way. And now the Chicago Bears are going to be sitting there looking around the league and saying, who can we still trade this guy to? Who would still be interested in giving us top dollar for this guy? And who are they bidding against? Even if there's one team, or if there's two teams. I mean, there's no longer 5 to 8 teams that could have been looking for Justin Fields like there was a day or two ago, right? So I think the Chicago Bears really kind of lost out there. And I said last week, what if the Chicago Bears paid $1.2 million to Russell Wilson, bring him in, trade away Justin Fields to the Pittsburgh Steelers, let's say, you get a bunch of picks back from the Steelers for trading Justin Fields over there to him, and then you also trade away the Caleb Williams number one pick, or you still sign Caleb Williams with that number one pick, and you bring him up behind Russell Wilson because you're only paying Russell Wilson 1.2, right? Either way, you would have had one more team out there who still needed a quarterback in the Pittsburgh Steelers, that you could have traded Justin Fields to and possibly made that happen, and you would have had Russell Wilson starting there for $1.2 million. So I feel like they really lost out there on their opportunity. That they could have really kind of swung some things there with that and kind of turned around their whole franchise for a while here. Besides the Chicago Bears, some other ones maybe not as big, but the Dolphins and the Jaguars. I feel like the Dolphins really lost out on a lot of players today. They also did do some signings over the last day or two, but they really got picked apart by I think they had what 3 or 4 defensive players, an offensive lineman as well. They had a number of players go around the league so far from the Dolphins and they had one. They did have one pretty good sign. Can't remember who it was not right now. They did sign somebody. If anybody knows who it is, go and throw it up in the chat. But they were able to get somebody on there from free agency here in this last day or two. But they got picked apart pretty good. The Jaguars. I'm not sure exactly what the Jaguars are really doing with their moves. They traded for Mac Jones, right? And so the Jaguars already have a veteran QB as a backup there behind Trevor Lawrence, and so now they bring in Mac Jones to do what? Compete against Trevor Lawrence to be the third string backup. To I mean, Trevor Lawrence isn't really learning anything from Mac Jones, right? So is this to add pressure to Trevor Lawrence? Are the Jaguars thinking maybe Trevor Lawrence is not our future before we give him a $200 million contract for years? Do we bring in somebody to compete against him, or you know, worst case scenario where Trevor Lawrence is, of course, if he's injured, but you'd probably go to that second string backup. Um, but could he end up making his way up and overtaking Trevor Lawrence? I don't think anybody is thinking that about Mac Jones overtaking Trevor Lawrence, but I'm not really sure what the need is here to bring him in and pay him money and trade away picks for Mac Jones, right? And then they did have a nice signing with getting Darnell Savage, one of the safeties from the Green Bay Packers. But besides that, they overspent on a lot of picks, a lot of players, and some trades as well. The Jacksonville Jaguars. So it's not exactly like a horrible day, but as far as the losers of these first 2 days would go, I would put the Jaguars probably third behind the Bears and Dolphins. But maybe this team actually leapfrogs them. The team that's supposed to be all in, the team that's supposed to be America's team, the Cowboys that have talked about being all in this whole off season, have so far made no moves. And Tony Pollard just left, and they haven't filled in that need yet. And what we just had, let's see, I'm trying to think of here. I think what the top 5, 6, 7 running backs in free agency. One of them was just released and then signed. Just all got snagged here in the last 2 days. Aaron Jones is from the Dallas area. Carves up the Dallas Cowboys every year when he plays against them. Would have been a perfect fit probably for Aaron Jones actually to go to the Dallas Cowboys. Especially, I think what they're paying him $7 million a year for the Vikings. So for the Cowboys to do nothing so far, when they do have some holes to fill on the defensive side and some spots they could also do something with on the offensive side, I do believe they can maybe get like a third receiver. I don't think they're as bad as on the receiving core as some others do think, but um, they needed running back. I think their offensive line has gotten banged up a little bit in the last couple of years. So they can maybe do something there on the offensive line side, but probably mostly on the defensive side. And they haven't gotten anyone. So, anyways, I just find it funny mainly because the Dallas Cowboys talk about how they are all in on this next season. Now, I do think some of that is Jerry Jones and Dallas Cowboys saying that they're all in because they're not re-signing Dak, and so they're essentially betting on themselves, I guess, slash pressuring Dak into saying, "Okay, you want this next big contract, you're gonna have to play excellent this next year. And if you do play amazing this next year, and let's say the Dallas Cowboys, let's say Dak wins MVP and then wins the Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP, well, that's gonna ask for all kinds of money, right? Which means that either they're gonna have to start releasing a whole bunch of players, restructuring people, trying to re-sign Dak, or he's gone. So I think that's more what the Dallas Cowboys mean by this is their all in year, because they know if Dak really has that kind of a year and wins it all and is that good, the amount of money they're gonna have to spend to keep him, this will be their last year before they're gonna have to tear a lot of things down, right? And if he's not great, they could re-sign him maybe. Um, I could definitely see that happening, but then all of a sudden they're re-signing him for 40 to 50 million a year instead of like the new going rate for the top quarterback, which if Dak won MVP and Super Bowl MVP and all those kind of things there, he would be asking for 60 or 65. You might be able to get him for 45 or 50, but you're limiting yourself and you're saying, okay, we're all in again now with Dak, who another year of not winning it when we said we were all in. So I think that's an interesting move for the Dallas Cowboys, and we'll see where that goes. Right. So um, that really leads me into my last kind of thing here of the day. This is something I'll change up from day to day when I do the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast here today. Again, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. My last segment of the day, sounding off, right? Sounding off. I'm Mr. Sound Off. Want to know? Can't wait to see. And I'm curious what you all think the next moves will be in the NFL. So if you're not here live on this, again, I will end up chopping up some of this video here and putting out different segments onto YouTube and different clips, as well as on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those kind of things there as well, right? But reach out to me. Let me know if you leave a comment down below, or if you send me a message, please do, and let me know where do you think. What do you think about the moves that have been made so far? What do you guys think that some of these moves that have made so far are going to translate into tomorrow or the next couple of days? This has only been the first 2 days of free agency, and it's not even official until tomorrow again, right? So tomorrow being the first official day of free agency, I can't wait to see where that goes to, and we'll have to see here exactly how much reaction there is to some of the moves that were made today off this of the moves that were made today and yesterday, some different trades that were made. Will there be overreaction from some teams, other teams that have a plan that are going for this so the whole way, that knew maybe some of these cards are going to fall this way, and then also where some of these moves might affect your team in this next season. And before we get to the next season, in the NFL draft, I brought it up last week for the Green Bay Packers as an example, who needed a safety, right? A lot of people were talking about DeGene out of Iowa as being their number one pick in the first round as a safety. Well, now they just got the best safety free agent in the draft. So do they still need another free or still need another safety? Absolutely. I wish they would have kept Darnell Savage as their second safety and then gotten McGinney as well. I thought that would have been a great tandem, and Savage wasn't um, requiring a whole lot of money, all right, as far as his salary goes. But still, they can go for that. Or now maybe they get a safety, but in the third or fourth round or something like that, because they don't need that safety to be their top guy because they already got one in this. Right. So now the Packers can go somewhere else with that number one pick. So sound off. Let me know what you guys think there in the comments. Reach out, please. And thank you again to our different sponsors of the day, to our surf companies. All right, we got Moondoggies here. That's one of my favorites. It's been that way for a long time, and always love the golfing companies as well. All right, Live Lucky. All right, so golf companies, surfing companies, the band stuff. Keep it coming. Love to hear you guys' feedback on the show here so far, and I will be coming out with another episode. It should be on this Thursday. So for now, I'm going to be trying to do it every Tuesday and Thursdays for Mr. Sound Off. And for that, this is Mr. Sound Off sounding off. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.